Hello. Thought I would do another video just showing how it is that you attach that Atlas kickstand to a Tern GSD. This is the kickstand here, and what I'll be doing is replacing the one that comes with the bike, which is right over here, because this one provides a lot more stability. And like all my other videos, I'm not an expert with dealing with bicycles, so I thought I would just walk it through as a bit of a, this is how you do it for dummies, like myself. But it seems quite straightforward, so we'll do it together. So you begin by sticking the bicycle up on its back. I did this basically so I would be able to test to see if I could do it all to begin with. It actually says in the instructions that the first thing that you should do is get rid of the kickstand that comes with the bicycle, but because I wasn't sure of myself before doing all of this, I thought I would leave it on to start with. So I'm going to do it in a bit of a reverse order, which appears to be fine, as I've already measured it up and everything. So if you have the pannier bags on as we did, you need to take those off. Those are Velcro. Clearly if you've put them on, you know that already. But it looked like it was a bit of a funny place to get to it, because the new plate that you're going to add, which comes with it, goes right underneath above the tire, and you get two bolts that go into it, even though there's three different holes. The third hole doesn't do anything on the chain, and then the other bolts come out the side, and all you're going to be doing at this stage is putting on the rest of the Atlas stand and putting it through the chain, and that's the bit that I was going to stop to begin with, because what you need to do is you need to find this little piece here, which is your quick link removal bit, and there's a tool that you can use to do this. What I've done is I've just used my hands for it, so I'll try to do this now, which probably isn't key, but try to get the grease off. So I might have to turn the camera off for a moment, but basically all I'm doing is pinching the chain together and applying a bit of pressure, not too much pressure, and the link basically, you've got one side of it that'll slide off that I'll show you in just a second. So I pinched it together. You can see that the bits slide off, so you still have the main bit that's up there as well as this one. And the reason why you need to do this is you need to thread it through the Atlas kickstand, as I'll show in a moment. But what I'm going to do now is just let the chain go. Before I did all of this, I put it on the highest gearing setting at the bottom on the chain link, so that I'd have maximum tension without it being too difficult to pull back together. So I'm now going to just pick up the stand and stick it onto the bolts before tightening them up, and then we'll re-thread this through it. So I've now attached the kickstand to the bicycle. A good thing to check is just to make sure that you've got these gaps up here at the top rather than at the bottom, because when the kickstand's engaged, you're going to be bringing this forward to the ground. It's maybe an obvious thing to say, but there's nothing more frustrating than putting something together and seeing that you've done it backwards. So to tighten these bolts, what I'm going to have is a fairly significant Allen key here. And let me just see if it says what the size of it is on here. You can see that this is a 5/16 size, which fits so it's a pretty hefty one. And I'm going to be sticking this one in the back of the bolts, and then I'll be tightening them on this side with a wrench. So I've now tightened the bolts. Everything is fine, and the next thing to do is that I'm going to take my chain and I'm going to reattach it by threading it through the kickstand. Okay, so now what we've done is we've taken the chain and we've looped it through the kickstand, so not through any of those bits at the top. You just put it through the main bit where the stand is, thread that back through the little chain thingy here, was the technical term I believe for it, and then once you've done all of that, you can reconnect, there we are, the link so that it's back to as it should be. So I didn't use any tools to do this. That was just pressure from my hand on linking the chain together and then pulling it back, but it appears to be back in the right position. I'm sure there will be comments if people are saying that I've definitely done this wrong, which are very welcome, and I'll see what I can do. But what I've got now is both stands engaged on the bike. So I'll now pop this down, and we can see that you can actually have both of them on there if you are a bit nervous like I was about getting it right the first time. And we'll look at the differences between what both kickstands do before I will record taking off the original kickstand.
Okay.
Thank you. Alright, so we now have both kickstands on. As you can see, this is the original one, and the reason why we wanted to change it is because it's not terribly stable when you have the bicycle, and when you're putting children on, the bicycle can be a bit wobbly, and basically every time they go on we'd always hold it quite strongly, which we should do anyway with the new kickstand anyway. But to get this one off, what was particularly annoying coming from another bicycle that you could just roll on and roll off, was that we would effectively have to pick up the bicycle a bit in order to get enough weight off the front of it to engage it. So you'd kind of pick the bicycle up and then roll it forward. And then for going to putting it on, you would similarly put your foot down, pick the bicycle up, do that. So it works. We've used the bicycle for over a year. It's just nothing that we wrote home about, and it was something we particularly missed about our other bike. But with the new kickstand, all you do is put your foot down on the back of it, and then you roll the bicycle back, and it stops. And that's the magic of what's on here. But also, when we're going off, instead of having to pick the bicycle up anymore, if you just put your foot on the front bit, you can roll it forward, and it'll re-engage again. So the new kickstand is absolutely superior to the old one, which is why we're now going to take the original kickstand off. So we'll do that now. Okay, so the first thing you can see we've done is we've taken off the bike seat to make sure that we've got access to everything. The bit that we're going to be removing is actually just beneath the main bit that's connected to the battery. So what we'll be doing is taking off the battery and then moving forward with trying to take apart the actual connector here so that we can get to the bolt that's holding down the kickstand, which is just back there. Okay, I've now removed the battery, and here's the main case that we have. You can see those are the two screws that we're going to be taking out to begin with, and I'll be doing that with a T15 torque wrench. Okay, with the two screws removed, I've then just gently tried to put this apart here so that we can remove the two sides of this bit. So it's difficult to do with one hand, so I'm just gonna pause. But the next thing you're doing is just taking off the outer case. Okay, so you can see there we've got our case in two halves. We didn't use any tools to pry them apart. I just used my fingers again, and those are the two screws that were holding it in, and that leaves us with the exposed metal bit. And what we're now going to be doing is separating the plug from the metal bracket. So we're just going to be taking this bit out. So I just pulled that a little bit to the side. I'm not doing anything with the wiring on that. All we're trying to do is get to this metal bit here so that we can see all of the screws. And it says that we're now going to be removing the metal bracket with a T25 Torx wrench. So I'll take that out. And then once we remove this, it should be able to expose the, or give us better access to the kickstand mount, which is underneath it. All right. Right, I have now removed the metal plate by taking the two Torx screws off. It's a pain in the butt to get at least my tools to do this, so all I ended up doing was loosening the screws enough that I could then undo them mostly with my hands, with my fingers, which was far more helpful. And the good news is you only have to have a few turns where it's loose enough for you to do that, so it's a pretty good bit for that. And now we can finally get our last tool down here for that bolt, which is all that's holding in the kickstand. So I'll just undo that now, and then we'll put it all back together by reversing those, and we'll have it completed. All right, now it's all been put together. We've got the Atlas kickstand down here, fully engaged. We've got our bags and our child seats back on. And the original kickstand has been removed. The only thing is, I found it quite a pain trying to get that little guy out. So after some quite strenuous tightening and loosening of that, I decided just to leave it because the other kickstand had been removed. I've since taken it on a test drive and everything, and it's been fine. It hasn't rattled or anything, so that'll just be a lovely memento of the original kickstand that's there. But other than that, we've got it all installed and ready to go, and everything is back as it should, and we're ready for another day. So thanks, hope that's useful.